Greetings, everyone. God bless you. This is Henry A. Nash, the founder and the author of the book Integrity Does Matter, which talks about living a life above reproach. And we're coming to you once again with another awesome and amazing segment of our integrity inspirations. For many of y'all who may have tuned in with us on our last segment, I have my special guest, my colleague, and my good brother and confidant, Mr. James Dixon. He was with me on our last segment where we talked about identification through inspiration. And what we had said to the viewing audience was that this segment that we're going to do was going to be a two-part segment. So we have already completed the first segment of identification through inspiration. You get the opportunity to go back and check that out, amen, because you will love it, and it was a blessing to us and everything, so we truly appreciate it. So I just want to give Mr. Dixon an opportunity to greet the viewing audience once again. Mr. Dixon?
Hello, family. I'm doing great, brother. Excited to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To be a vital part of what's going on in the area of integrity and what God has for us to deliver to the people.
Yeah.
So we say, hello, Facebook family. Hello, family.
Yeah.
And we hope and believe, and we're surely believing that this is going to be a blessing to your life. And thank you for tuning in.
Okay, thank you so very much, sir. Before we get into this segment, I want to take the time to say thank you to all of our Facebook friends, our followers, and our family for liking and viewing our Facebook page, for helping us to reach a 500 milestone of followers on our Facebook page. We have many people who keep track of what we're doing as we take this message of integrity to the nation, one person at a time. And we realize and we recognize that we could not have done it with all of your love, without all of your love, and without all your support. So
that's right.
Thank you so very much for helping us reach that milestone. Now, we believe that the best is yet to come, that we have yet many more milestones to achieve here at Integrity Does Matter. We cannot do it without you, so thank you so much again for your support. Before we begin, I want to kind of recap on what we talked about during our last segment of Integrity Inspirations. We talked about identification through inspiration. We talked about 4 different questions that we was going to go over, and we was going to talk about them, and Mr. Dixon and I, we expounded on those first 2. And the first one we talked about was, what will be the end result of this decision if I pursue it to its end? So we talked about our situations and circumstances, things that we went through that helped us to practice what's called mindfulness before we move into a situation or circumstance, because we know it not only affect us, but it affect others. And the second thing that we talked about is who else will our decision affect besides me? Because many times we move forward into some of our decision makings without even thinking about the consequences that come behind it. Because it normally has a ripple effect, that it not only affects us, but it also affects those who are closely related and closely connected to us. So we're going to pick up where we left off on our from the previous segment, and we're going to begin with this third question that we want to begin this segment with. So here's the third question that we're going to talk about on today. Number 3, is it really worth it? Simple, but yet so profound. Think about that. Is what you're about to do really, really worth it when it comes to your integrity? Listen to this. How many times have we done something we thought that was right in our own eyes, and without thinking it all the way through, here's what ends up happening. When the end result is not what we thought it would be, we end up becoming angry and we become disappointed at ourselves. Now, I know I'm not the only one, and I'm sure Mr. Dixon can relate to that too, that we're not the only ones that have made decisions that ended up not working out good on our behalf, and we was angry and disappointed at ourselves. So, see, we've all been in similar situations like that, but here's what I want to share with you. Listen to this. We cannot go back and fix certain things we have done. Life does not have a rewind button. It doesn't work like that. But thanks be to God, who by his amazing grace and his multitude of his mercies, God is a God of many chances. I mean many chances, because of who he is. But as a people of God, we got to learn how to possess godly wisdom and integrity, and that will help keep and preserve us from continually making the same mistakes over and over, and we end up regretting the mistakes that we make in the long run. Check this out. When we begin to take matters in our own hands and do that which is not right in the eyes of God, our lack of integrity would be placed on display for others to see. Would you agree, Mr. Dixon, that we do that? It will be placed on
Yes,
display?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'll say, as I was thinking about the question, and I wrote it down, it says, We don't value integrity
Mm-hmm.
because it's something that we cannot buy.
Ah, okay.
We can only possess it through making healthy choices
That's good.
and decisions.
That's good. That's good.
And we must have settled and decided in our heart and mind before we do what we decide to do.
So when we think about the end result of a situation, before we move headlong into it, it would really save us from a lot.
It cannot be an afterthought. It has to be a forethought.
Okay.
It has to be done intentionally.
Okay.
If you're going to do something that's worth anything, according to what we're talking about, and you have not given it some thought, I guarantee you, most of the time, you're going to regret your decision.
And I concur again with what you're saying, because everything that we say, thank you, and everything that we do, no matter what it is, it begins with a thought. It begins with a thought. In the psychology field, they have a term called metacognition. Metacognition. And the word metacognition in the simplest definition really means to, watch this, think about what you're thinking about. You catch that? Think about what you're thinking about. Because many times we don't take the time to really ponder and reflect and consider, as Mr. Dixon was saying about what will be the end result of this thing if I move headlong forward. If I go ahead and do this, what would happen, you know? Because chances are, if we allow integrity to take the lead, we'll think about it before we actually move forward and doing what we should do, because we're not overly concerned about ourselves. We're concerned about others who can be affected by the choices that we make. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Absolutely.
Because if we really, really understand, what we're learning is this. You don't want to make a permanent decision with a temporary situation.
That's good.
That we're talking about life changing. Yeah. This is what I was writing down when I was looking at this lesson and thinking about it. You have to allow integrity to be who integrity is before you can do what integrity does.
Right.
And it has to be personal.
Right.
We're trying to communicate to the people, not the word integrity, because integrity means different things to different people.
Correct.
But the person integrity. Integrity is a personality, if you will. If we were to put integrity in the form of a person, integrity would be the thought that tells us you knew that before you did it.
Yeah.
Many people have married and knew that it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
You said it earlier. Because people do what they think. And so they're not thinking about what they're thinking about.
That's good.
That's why the Bible says you take no thought. We got to think.
Yeah.
You don't take any thought for granted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at they have a rule. And I was just, now this is funny. I told you was going to laugh during this segment.
Okay.
I just got to read my psychology book.
Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And for you to bring that up, now I don't know that word you said, but I know I was looking at my psychology book and it was giving me some terms about how we usually think about right here. This is the difference in people that are successful and people who are not successful. Now, most people have a problem and think small and just usually affirm that to money or finances or monetary value, but that's not what it's about.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about personal value.
Okay.
And I'll say it like this.
Cool.
What are you bringing to the table?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you bringing to the table?
Yeah.
You come to the table to get something, but most people want to get from the table what they bring to the table.
That's good. That's good. And that's good that you say that, because see, one of the things about integrity is integrity is a core value. It's a core value.
Yes, sir.
And the beauty about core values is core values are internal.
Yes, sir.
They're internal.
Yes, sir.
And core value, because they are internal, they lead you.
Yes, sir.
They guide you and they direct you. You don't lead and guide direct yourself. You check with your core values to see, hey, is this something it may look right, but watch this. But is it morally correct?
Yes, sir.
Is it morally correct? Napoleon Hill wrote this in his book, Think and Grow Rich. Very, very powerful, powerful book. Mr. Dixon and I talk about this all the time. This is what Napoleon Hill had to say. He said that self-control begins with the mastery of one's thoughts. And he went on to say that if you cannot control your thoughts, he said, then you will not control what you do. And I believe it was Albert Einstein that coined the phrase that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So you see, when it comes to looking at what will be the end result of this thing, if I follow it to its end, you know, and who else will it affect besides me? And then is it really, really worth it? This is what we got to think about, what we're thinking about, and we got to allow integrity to come in and take the lead and do what it needs to do. Because James has said it in our last segment, which really was so profound. He said that integrity is not a follower. Would you agree?
Integrity. It's a principle.
Yes, sir.
How can you expect something to follow that is not designed to follow?
Ah, okay. Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my friends the other day. He said this. He said, man, he said, I was living my life trying to push the cart with the horse.
Wow.
He said, now, the horse will go where I tell it to go. So, do I blame myself or do I blame the horse?
Okay.
The horse is doing what I'm telling him.
Right.
But I'm going to put the horse in front and let the horse take me where I'm needed to go. And I'm directing and telling him where I need to go. But once I do that, then I have to let it go ahead and do.
Right.
And it's not something I have to make do. I just let it. But I have to become settled with myself first. Yeah. So this is what I'm getting at. So you can go ahead and say the next thing.
You good.
The horse, right, is a replica or resemblance of my personality.
Okay.
If I'm jacking the horse up and got the, but we going it, we can't do that. Okay. Brother, this is so profound. Integrity is not something we take lightly.
Correct.
Many times, we're so selfish. We are so afraid to be vulnerable. We won't even let integrity be our friend. Just imagine if integrity is a person. I mean, what do we have to lose and all to gain? It doesn't want anything from us, but it has everything for us. Yeah. And until we decide, it's a cognizant decision that we have to make to allow integrity to lead. Integrity is a gentleman. Yeah. Integrity opens doors. Yeah. Yes. Gentlemen, integrity opens doors. Integrity is closed doors.
Absolutely.
Integrity pays bills without money.
Yes, sir.
Speaking what I know, speaking personally through my life's experiences. You go to pay somebody some money. I shared this with you right after that day I told you what we're talking about our segment. Correct. I went to pay somebody, and the people told me God spoke to them and told them to give me the money back. So they didn't just give me the money back. They told me, you no longer own this bill. We're going to close your account. Wow. I said, well, I owe you some more money. They said, no, we don't. This is what they said, Mr. Dixon, because we have considered your integrity. I started laughing. I said, you mean to tell me? And I had the money in my pocket.
Yes, sir.
I said, you mean to tell me I don't have to pay the rest of this bill? They say, no, take it back, take it with interest, and go do something else for your family or pay another bill or whatever. Well, I didn't have no more bills to pay. Okay. I said, well, that was it. They said, well, let's consider this, and this is what they said. Let's consider this an ongoing friendship through this relationship because of you keeping your word.
That's good.
And tears start coming down my face. Yeah. I was trying not to let them see me cry, but I was so grateful because we had our segment, and I was running my mouth and talking about integrity. And I said, you know what? Integrity really does work. Yeah. And I felt a peace about it. But integrity did that for me, brother. You know what I did? Took my wife out to dinner.
That's good.
Yeah. So we're not just saying it and talking about integrity. Mm-hmm. It's something when you start being about it.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep iterating to anybody that's watching this segment. Yeah. Please don't take this for granted. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, this will save your life. It'll save your children. Mm-hmm. It'll save your marriage. It'll save your job. It'll save your business. It'll do everything you need to do, starting with you first. Go ahead, bro.
That's good. That's good. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Dixon. And we must understand and recognize that when we live under the auspices of integrity and allow integrity to take the lead, there will be times in our lives where our integrity will speak on our behalf without us even having to say a word. Because, see, we have been on this journey of taking the message of integrity to the nation one person at a time for quite some time now. And in our walks of life, we meet many different people, you know, and they all have come to one consensus, and that consensus is this. They believe that integrity really does matter. It matters. Check this out. So next time when you're faced with a challenging situation or circumstance, ask yourself, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? And if the end result of it isn't favorable on your behalf, then chances are you probably shouldn't even go forward with the decision. You probably shouldn't even go forward with it, you know. And when I think about that, I'm thinking about, you know, integrity being of value and of great worth. And when I think about something that's of great value and something that's of great worth, I think about something that is priceless. Check this out. When a thief breaks into a place and steals something or takes something that does not belong to them, they're not looking for anything that's not of value. They're not looking for anything that is not of worth. They're looking for something that is valuable and something that is worthwhile that they can take with them, because they understand that they have a limited amount of time to do what they need to do before they do as they do. And see, integrity is of great value and is of great worth. And we got to learn to guard our integrity. We got to learn how to preserve our integrity, because what it does, if we allow it to, if we compromise it, it ends up corrupting our character, and it does no longer define who we are as a person. No longer defines who we are. So remember this: living with integrity will always come at a cost. It's going to always come at a cost. But the rewards that come from the cost far outweigh the cost that it is to live in it. So the rewards that come greatly, they become great. So that's what would you say? The rewards are great, huh, Mr. Dixon?
Sir, the rewards are phenomenal.
Yeah, they are.
I was dealing with a situation, and I asked God. I said, God, what should I do? Mm-hmm. He said, nothing. Mm-hmm. I say, nothing. Mm-hmm. He said, you know how the teacher or the coach tell the student or the athlete, you did enough. Mm-hmm. It's a little sarcasm, and they're saying you kind of messed it up enough, you know. Okay. You don't need to do no more. Okay. So God was being gentle with me. He said, I'll take it from here.
Okay.
You've done enough.
Right.
I got it from you. Do you trust me?
Right.
I say, God, with all my heart. Mm-hmm. He said, well, let me show you how integrity works on your behalf. When you stand for integrity, integrity will stand for you. Integrity will vindicate you. Mm-hmm. You don't have to get revenge. You don't have to explain yourself. No. You don't have to be exploited. You don't have to do any of that. Mm-hmm. And God told me, he said, close your mouth, bring your thoughts to a halt, and let me show you who I am. Mm-hmm. You're talking about integrity. I'm the epitome of integrity.
Yes, sir.
And I did that. My wife I had a great conversation. A little deeper than normal for the first time in a long time. And I don't mind being vulnerable and, you know, just let people know how this, what a blessing this is. Yeah. And man, I was like, at first I went to the restaurant hungry, but after she started talking, I say, man, you make me get my food cold. You eat your food and I'm listening to you. Right. But it was such an exuberant, I was so grateful. I was saying in my mind, God, thank you for integrity. God, thank you for integrity. Thank you for integrity. And this is what he told me. He said, see, this is what happens when you allow integrity to do what it's designed to do. Yeah. And like I said, I'm learning more and more. Integrity is a personality. Yeah. Integrity, watch this. Without integrity, your character can be tested, but it will not be shaped.
That's good. That's good.
It's going to always be tested, but it will not be shaped unless you let integrity. And that's what integrity is after. Integrity is the hands on the wheel of the potter that shapes the pot.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes integrity got to take the pot and throw it to the floor, to the ground, and start all over again. And I believe that's one of the fears. I know that's one of my fears that I had about worrying about starting over. My grandbaby and I were playing a game, and it's called Building Blocks. And I watch him play the game and build him a little tower. You know, he's building a tower with his blocks. And God showed me that as a resemblance of my life. And each time, as long as all the blocks were there, he could build the tower as high as he built the time. The next time, each time he took it and threw it down.
Okay.
That's what integrity does. Because all the parts are still there. Integrity will always remain intact. Even when we don't. But because we exuberate integrity, integrity will replace us and make sure everything is there that we need. This is what they say. We're going to rebuild him. We're going to make him stronger. We're going to make him faster. We're going to make him better. That's what integrity does. Oh man, I'm getting excited.
It's good, man.
Integrity is progressional.
Yeah.
And that's what I said I was going to share with you when we were talking. God told me, he said, integrity is infinite, it's endless, it never stops. It's so vast as the east is from the west. There's no such thing as that's it with integrity. So we choose integrity. We choose integrity. Every choice we make, we choose it with integrity.
And I can promise you of a surety that when you do choose integrity and allow integrity to take the lead in your life, to lead you and guide you in all of your affairs in regards to how you think, and even in the choices that you make, you'll have a more favorable outcome in regards to how you approach certain things and how you move forward and how you do particular things that come your way in life. And it's very important that we do recognize and understand that. Check this out. Learning to exercise and discipline ourselves to refrain from anything that comes from the sole purpose of causing reproach in our lives are the prerequisites for living a life of integrity. And we know in the subtitle of our book, it talks about living a life above reproach. And we're going to talk about what reproach is. Reproach is this in the verb tense. Reproach is defined as to find fault with, or to be a cause or a blame, or even to come to discredit, a cause of disgrace, or even discredit. So when reproach comes in our lives, it doesn't come to elevate us. When reproach comes into our lives, it doesn't come to help us. Reproach comes to pull us down or pull us away from staying on the path of living a life of integrity. So based on the definition of reproach, we can see that the choices that we make have what's called a far-reaching effect. You hear that? A far-reaching effect that goes past when we make them. A far-reaching effect. And I was sharing this with my granddaughter when I was talking with her not too long ago, where we had to correct her in a situation or circumstances and give her some instruction and some direction of where she needed to go. And one of the things I share with her is many times whenever we make unwise choices and we end up having to deal with the consequences that come behind the choices, you're going to like this. Many times we focus too much on the consequences of what we had done wrong versus the choice that led us up to the consequences that we're dealing with.
That's good, brother.
See, and we focus too much on that. But if we focus more on the choice that we made that led us to where we are right there, that will help us be more mindful of asking ourselves, what would be the end result of this if I move forward with this decision? Who else will it affect besides me? Is it really worth it? It's the choices that we make that we need to put more focus on versus the consequences that come behind it. When we do that, we not only learn how to do better, watch this, we be better.
Yes, sir.
We be better. We talked about that, Mr. Dixon, about being better. It's very important when you say
that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
If we're not going to be it, we don't need to be dealing.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And so when we learn to trust God and allow Him to be our justifier, then we will begin to see that a heart that is surrendered to God together with a clear conscience, watch this, will give us the peace that we need when others falsely accuse us. When others falsely accuse us.
Wow.
Mr. Dixon and I talked about this here a while back, you know, and we know many of us have heard the term, you know, and we've even used it. There are people who dislike us. We use the term haters. We tend to call them haters a lot. And one of the things he shared with me, you know where I'm going with this, that haters are really people that admire you. they're really they're secret admirers.
Yes.
You know, they're admirers from afar, you know. And watch this. Check this out. Haters are confused admirers who don't understand why other people like you and they don't. Well, you need to take that and you need to put that in your toolbox. You need to put it in your toolbox. So, because see, when you're led by integrity, integrity will speak to you. Integrity will say some things to you like, "Hey, is this really worth it? Hey, you might want to consider. Doing something else. You might not want to do this because it might not be favorable on your behalf." So it's important that we understand that when it comes to that. It's because, see, when you want to live a life of integrity, you will have some haters. I promise you, won't you, Mr. Dixon?
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have them.
Can I say something on that, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
While I'm thinking about it, you know, integrity does not always exude the desired result in the beginning.
Okay.
So therefore, we usually don't want to be subject to integrity.
Correct.
Because we're looking, like you say, at the result, or what we consider what's happening because of our choice.
Okay.
Not realizing that most of the time you're going to get what is desired on the end.
That's good. That's good.
And that's where integrity is.
Good.
You have to be patient. It allows you to become mature. It allows you to become valuable. When you become valuable, now you're worth not just what you need, but what is needed in your life and for others. I heard a wise man say this. He said, you cannot add value to the lives of others without first having added value to your own life.
That's where it begins.
That's what integrity does.
Yes, that's where it begins.
That's what those choices are all about. And we make them all the time. We don't understand most of the time that the choices we make are usually what make us.
Yeah.
Earl Nightingale said this. He said, you can take, no, that's not what I want to say. He said, a person that they're usually not thinking until they've gotten where they didn't want to be. And he said, people that see where they are will usually never say that they're responsible because they're not where they want to be.
Ah, okay. With you saying that, I'm what comes to mind is this author Leo Tolstoy. He wrote a book. He wrote a novel called War and Peace, and this is what he said in this novel of War and Peace. He said many people think of changing humanity. He said, but nobody thinks of changing themselves. So if there's going to be real change that's going to be affected around in our lives, it begins with us first. It begins with us first. Many times we want to see change in others, but we're unwilling to change. So it begins with us. It begins with us. You and I. It begins with us.
So can I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
So we must first become the change that we want to be, and that we want to see.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's outstanding.
Absolutely. Because, you know, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to see change in others, but we must examine ourselves as the scripture tells us, you know, that, you know, and when I think about this, I'm thinking about, watch this, I'm thinking about, when it comes to change, I think about climates, I think about atmospheres, and I think about environments. And when it comes to climate and atmospheres or environments, you can either go in and you can affect it, or it can affect you.
So you got the thermometer, you got the thermostat.
That's where I'm going.
Yes, sir.
You got the thermometer or thermostat. Both of them have two different type of functions. One can affect the atmosphere, the other can be affected by it.
Outstanding.
It can be affected by it.
Wow, this is awesome.
Which goes to our next point. This is our next point. Number 4. Will my decision give God all of the glory that He truly deserves out of my life? That is a profound question that we need to ask ourselves, especially as a people of God. Listen to this. As believers, as Christians, as people of God, we must always keep in mind, and in all that we do, we need to ask ourselves, is what we're doing give God glory? We need to ask ourselves that question. So I would like for you to consider these 3 questions we want to leave you with on our segment. Number 1, is God truly pleased with how I'm living? Because watch it, you know how you're living because you are with you all the time. And you can't get away from you. And I tell people all the time, if you really want to truly understand others, then you must go on a journey of self-discovery to really understand self. And who better to go on a journey of self-discovery than with God? Because God knows who you are. He made you. He knows you. He knew you even when you was in your mother's womb, as he told Jeremiah. He knows the various numbers of hairs on our head. So who better to go on a journey of self-discovery with than with God? Is God truly pleased with how I'm living? Number 2, listen to this. Can God look down from his heavenly throne and smile upon us because we're living a life that's pleasing in his sight? Yeah. Can he look upon us favorably and say, you know what? They're living a life that's pleasing in my sight. In the midst of our shortcomings, in the midst of our faults, even in the midst of our frailties. When we, like James said earlier, when we are vulnerable and transparent before God and say, God, I'm coming to you just as I am. I want to learn how to be a person of integrity. Can he look upon us and say, and smile and say, he's pleased with how we're living our lives? And the 3rd question, can God rejoice greatly because I'm walking in the truth of his word? Can he rejoice greatly because I'm walking in the truth of his word? How we live our lives, our manner of conversation, and especially our conduct, how we live our lives says more about us. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Dixon?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about that. A lot of times we may not understand that with the living a life of integrity, we may have what I call a Job experience.
Right.
Sometimes we have to realize and think that usually people think negative. Oh, why is this happening to me? Why is this? And then they're saying it. They say, well, God, I'm doing what you told me. I know I'm in your will. I'm living the way you told me. I'm living a life of integrity. But they're not realizing that they're answering the question that they're asking. Right. That's what comes with it. Okay. Because it has to be tested in order for it to continue. That's what allows the gold to become pure, being tried in the fire. Gold doesn't come out as gold as we know it when you get it. It's black. It doesn't look good, just like diamonds. The diamonds in the rough. Nothing looks the way it's going to be once it comes through the process of purification.
That's good. That's good.
And that's what integrity does.
Yeah.
It gets rid of us of the impurities.
Yeah. The things we don't need.
I know sometimes I would have done some snatching and jerking.
Yeah.
But at what price?
Yeah.
When I have exuded integrity?
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't have, because when I did it, I didn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get him to talk to me after that.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get a chance to, because I didn't let integrity, I wasn't thinking. I wasn't letting integrity do what I needed to do so God could be pleased. Right. Yeah. I said I was going to make you laugh. I was having a conversation with God, and he told me, he said, I got it from him. He said, because you've done enough already. You done kind of messed things up. You want to keep going this route? I said, no, God. I said, God, you got jokes. And I was laughing. I said, God, you got jokes. He said, well, that's kind of what you are making me out of. That's what they're saying because of your actions. That I must be a joke in your life. Because you're not, I'm integrity. I'm the epitome of integrity. You let integrity lead. Let me lead. I said, well, God, what do you want me to do? He said, nothing. He said, love and intercede. That's good. Be flexible and continue to be a servant. That's good. I found myself washing dishes at 3:30 in the morning. I hadn't even put them there. I said, I'm going to leave them there till the morning. He said, no. He said, you show them what integrity looks like. That's good. Got up, went downstairs, washed the dishes. Messed around and got excited and mopped. That's good. I said, boy, this integrity getting a bit much here, God. He said, well, this is what it takes. This is, you got to look at your end result right here before you get there. Good. You got to lead them. And so I was like, I thought about Peter when Jesus asked him, he said, lovest thou me? What he said, well, feed them. This is how we feed. And I began to understand. So this is what it means when you feed. You don't just say it with the words. You lead by example. That's right. That's how you feed people. With knowledge and understanding through love. That's good. Integrity does that for us. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Excited. That's good. That's good. Before we leave, we're going to leave you with these 3 points to ponder. So check this out. Number 1, how closely is your conversation and your conduct
related to be a person of integrity? Because your conversation and your conduct has to be closely related to each other, and when they are, they define who you are as a person, if you are a person of integrity or not.
Mine didn't know each other.
Yeah, I can relate too, sir. I can relate too. The second point I want to leave you with: have you ever made a statement that caused others to question whether you were a person of integrity? Spoken prematurely on something that you probably didn't even have all the facts on, and then when you said it, what you said, you end up coming behind you in full circle, and then it ended up being not what it was. Your integrity is being in question when that happens. The third point we want to leave you with: how did you feel after you said what you've spoken, especially if it's directly connected to you as it relates to your character? How did you feel? I want you to think about those things. We're going to leave you with those 3 points to think about. This concludes our segment of Integrity Inspirations. We thank you once again for taking the time to tune in with us on today. But before we go, we want to remind you to visit our website at www.integritydoesmatter.com and purchase our book, Integrity Does Matter. And our book expounds a whole lot more about integrity and what it entails. And, we talk about the 3 keys of what it means to live a life of integrity. If you want to know, go to our website and purchase our book, integritydoesmatter.com. And for everyone who purchases our book, it will make a great Christmas gift. For everyone who does purchase our book, I will personally sign the book for you. And in the purchase of the book, you will get a free ink pen, and you will also get a wristband to go along with it as a complimentary gift for purchasing our book, Integrity Does Matter. And you can also visit our website and purchase. We have merchandise. We have mugs. Also, you can purchase these hats right here that we're wearing on our head, and also these t-shirts. All of this is available on our website, integritydoesmatter.com. And we ask that you also check out our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Visit them and like our page, and also share it with your friends and encourage them to like our page and follow us also as well. We're also on YouTube, so visit us on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Integrity Does Matter. This is Henry A. Nash, and this is Mr. James Dixon. We thank you all so very much for tuning in to our segment of Integrity Inspirations. And before we go, we always like to say, how you live your life says more about you than you could ever say about yourself. Why? Because integrity does matter.